Hello and welcome to the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter every single day covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for Sports Illustrated since August 2019, and we are continuing to march through yet another offseason together. As always, Jaguars on SI delivers you the best and most comprehensive Jaguars news and analysis that you will find anywhere, whether it be locally or even nationally. Jaguars on SI delivers you, the fans, double-digit pieces of content every single day, ranging from video and audio content to written content. And each day that the Miller Electric Center facility and Everbank Stadium had the doors open, we are there, boots on the ground. Whether it's at Jaguars practices, press conferences, in the locker room, in the offseason, and most importantly, on game day. We are always there to give you an inside look at your favorite NFL team. So don't forget that you can find us on social media such as Facebook or Twitter at Jaguars on SI. You can also find us at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. And most importantly, never forget, all of our content is 100% free for you, the faithful fans of Duval. Welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. I am your host and beat reporter, John Shipley. Today, we are going to talk about the Jaguars' 10th, potentially final, who knows, free agent addition, none other than former Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman Fred Johnson. He also spent time with the Cincinnati Bengals, also spent time, I believe, with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also is a Florida Gator product. I believe is now the second Gator in the locker room with Ventrell Miller, but we'll do our best not to hold that against him too much. The Fred Johnson signing to me, we talked yesterday about Chuma Edoga. It's similar in the fact that it's a one-year deal. It's a buy low on some offensive line depth. He was a swing tackle for the Eagles last year, played extensive snaps at both left and right tackle. He's also started games at guard in his career. I think when you're looking at him, you kind of see some of the obvious things the Jaguars liked. He has experience. He's coming from a great offensive line where he surely learned some things under Jeff Stoutland. He's a big, massive presence. He's an enforcer type player. He will have some highlight level blocks against both defensive linemen and linebackers. But ultimately, I think with him is the fact that he is somebody who the Jaguars probably believe can give them further flexibility along the depth chart. His metrics aren't great in terms of pressures, win rate, all that kind of stuff. It's actually closer to being bottom, towards the bottom. But you're not signing him to be a starter. So to me, that's a little bit of a moot point. If they assigned him to like a 3-year, $30 million contract, then yeah, that'd be a problem. But no, he's signed to a 1-year deal. I don't believe the figures are out there yet, but I can't imagine it's too much. And to me, you had him, you had Chuma Edoga, you had two guys who have started games at left, right tackle, started games at guard. You now have two capable backup offensive tackles. It isn't quite when the Jaguars had 3 starting level caliber offensive tackles with Cam Robinson, Walker Little, and Anton Harrison. But it's still better offensive tackle depth than they had after they traded Cam Robinson. We've said in the show several times, they needed to address not just the offensive line starting group, but also the depth chart badly this offseason. They had basically virtually nothing behind the starters. Luke Fortner, not great depth. Koopa Hodges, season-ending injuries 2 years in a row. Cole Van Lanen, good preseason last year, but is the actual good depth? Blake Hant signed elsewhere, Tennessee Titans. So it's pretty clear to me that the Jaguars recognized that they needed to completely remake the offensive line room. And that's what they did. 40% of their free agency signings were offensive line. I do think that this probably spells trouble for 4th-round pick Javon Foster. I thought the Chuma Edoga signing spelled trouble for him. But now they've added 2 veteran offensive tackles who have legitimately started games. And, Foster, I liked him coming out. I truly did. I thought the 4th round was a good value for him. I liked the pick. He struggled badly in the preseason and in training camp. And this is now a regime that has zero ties to him whatsoever. Just because he was a fourth-round pick for Trent Baalke and co. last year, that's a completely irrelevant point for this new Jaguars regime. They're not figuring him into any long-term plans just because the Jaguars picked him with, the fourth pick last year? That's just not the case. So now he is seeing two experienced offensive tackles with flexibility coming in. I think that's probably bad news for him. If I had to make a 53-man roster projection today, I'd imagine 9 to 10 of their 10 draft picks will make the roster. That's clearly the model they're going for. It's what the Los Angeles Rams have been doing. If they pick you, you're making the roster. Done deal. So if I was projecting those other 43 non-rookie spots right now, I don't believe he'd be on it. And yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, getting basically nothing out of a fourth-round pick, but it happens in the NFL. It has surely happened to the Jacksonville Jaguars quite a bit. Ultimately, I think the Fred Johnson signing, it makes sense. As a depth move, I like it. Think that it continues to show the flexibility that they want in their offensive linemen to where they can have guys who can actually play multiple positions. They certainly didn't have that last season or in the previous years. So I'm interested to see how it plays out with the offensive line. But ultimately, I think it's a good signing and puts Javon Foster in some trouble. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Podcast, Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I'll be back next time.